Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Written Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of the apple and share it with you. Today, we got a plethora of people hanging out with us and having fun. This is going to be a fun show. People get ready to buckle in those seatbelts and get ready to go. Tony, it's great to have you on the side here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Terry came to Street Fighter 6 today. Mega Man's coming to Brawlhalla tomorrow, so I'm in heaven right now for a couple of days. So
that's right. The gamer's been gaming. You've been having a lot of fun. Tony was all like, "Ralph, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make it for the show, Ralph, because I'm going to be playing."
I got up early just to finish a Terry story in Street Fighter. So no one, because what'll happen to me is like I have so many friends that are Street Fighter fans. All day they'll be texting me.
Spoil it, yeah.
They just assume that I did it. And most times I'm like, I'm at work. Like I'm not. So not today. They still text me like crazy. It still happened, but it didn't spoil anything for me, so that was good.
I can see it now. Not today, buddies. Not today. All right, folks. Why don't we jump into this right away? Chris and Haley, why don't you give the people the spiel? Let them know what's going on. Let them know what LilaQuest is.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So yes, I'm Haley. This is Chris. So we design and produce immersive events that let adults play. And that's really for the purpose of experiencing joy and wonder and human connection. Our specialty is what we call quests, which are mini adventures in real life with a story that lets you be the hero of your own adventure, a puzzle journey that brings people together, and world building that lets you leave the ordinary world in the dust.
And we work coast to coast from California to New York, everything in between. We've done 1,000 events to date. And
you can see our photos scrolling on by there.
Examples.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've actually been able to go to one of your events, because we did the tavern event with Pocket Bard. And it was
Pocket Bard.
They were here last week, talking all about their beautiful app, and I gotta say, it almost is like a perfect partnership because they make the music happen for what's happening, and you guys make the event happen for what's going on.
Yeah. It was really amazing. Their music is just it's so immersive, and we always say we use it just like in the house when we're not even necessarily playing D&D. We'll just be like. Yeah. Dishes and have the vibes of Pocket Bard going on in the background. And you want to tell a little bit about, I think you might be getting cut off a little bit.
Yeah, I think I might be cut off.
There you go.
Come on, you guys like each other. Getting close.
There you
go. Pocket Bard was like probably an ideal client avatar that we were just like, they're creative, they're professional, they're kind, they have a vision, and we all got to plug into that vision together.
Talk about play. It was just like working with them was constant play.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we set you up as an NPC for that event.
Oh yeah, definitely. It made my life easier because I just run around and take the pictures and take the video.
It was great. Yeah, I remember giving you your NPC card for some goodies. Yeah. And chatting at the side while all the fun was happening. That's
why I really got into this because I was already liking it, and then I had a big conversation with you because we were there for a while, and I liked how you were putting everything together. I liked how you were talking. I love the passion, and I know in the agreement we were talking a little bit about how this came to be. Why don't you tell the audience how it came to be? Go for it.
Very spontaneous, and like you said, from a place of passion and surprise, really. Do you want to say it?
I want to get you in the frame.
Okay.
That's what I want
to do. like so many things, it actually started at college, and we just met over some shared passions in nerd culture. She liked an anime that I liked, and so a conversation started. And I learned that she had kind of an amateur background in events. So did I, with an emphasis on puzzles and kind of questifying, gamifying things for loved ones. So when Valentine's Day came around, and we had all of these single friends that were kind of bumming us all out, Haley called me late at night, and she was like, yo, what if we did a Lonely Hearts Club quest for our friends and had a whole puzzle journey and forced them to enjoy life?
If you're friends with me, you're going to be enjoying Valentine's Day. Yeah. I don't care.
And so we were like, oh, we got 3 days, but let's go. And so we spent 3 days designing this whole puzzle journey that used like the RSA crypto system the government uses to get an address for everybody to meet at a specific time.
All bringing flowers and different like supplies for the event. One
for the
person
party
would say, oh, I have to bring 15 candy bars. Oh, that's weird, I'm bringing like 15 pairs of fuzzy socks. What's going on? And when they all came together, it was a little movie night and hot chocolate party.
Nice.
And one of those people, like we were talking about in the green room, one of those people worked at a university locally and said, hey, we think the students would love this. Would you create a quest for the university students? And we were like, yes. And that was a huge success. The university is an international school, so they've got 60, 70 different cultural groups there, and they don't really mix. But through the magic of the quest, everyone was like, hey, we all love magic, we all love adventure, let's all get together. And so the university was so impressed that they said, hey, we know you have other plans in life, but like, can we get you on retainer?
Not anymore, we don't.
Yeah, and then, here we are, right?
Yeah, and so we started doing things for private clients, and then kind of beyond and beyond and beyond, and now, and then there we are. I mean, there's the group, there's the shenanigans ensuing.
We shenaned again.
Yeah, again and again.
Like I was saying in the green room, I gotta say I've been to events before where they're supposed to be geek and they're supposed to be all this and that, and you sit there and you're going, something's missing, something's wrong, and it's like a disconnect in the event itself, because you're sitting there going, as a geek, going, this isn't completely geek.
Who designed this?
Yeah,
exactly. And when I was in the tavern, I felt like I was there at a D&D. I was there at this thing that's happening out somewhere. It felt immersive. It felt like, oh my God, it was just amazing.
Well, that's just the best thing, because what we really focus on with each event is how can we make this be a true meaningful adventure for each participant. We don't want it to just be like, oh, you come and you take some photos and, oh, wasn't that so like a nice night out? Like, we really want you to feel like the hero in your own adventure. We want you to feel like you're a part of a story, and that what you're doing, it's not just meaningless puzzles. You're part of a story that is impactful, and you're just a hero in your own world. And so it really is nice to hear that it seems like that was an effective event in that sense.
Oh, it definitely was. You guys really did a good job. And, like I was saying, when I was talking to you there, I was like, oh, okay. And then, because you don't start to sit there and think, oh, somebody put this together. You just go, oh, these guys did a great job of putting this together. I wonder how they did.
Hey, Ralph, you did a lot of talking for an NPC. I remember in the 90s, you're supposed to say the same thing over and over and over again.
You're supposed to give out the quest, so you gotta figure out how to give out the quest. They gotta activate the NPC. Come on.
Yeah.
So you're here. You're doing all this stuff. What do you feel like your future is? 'Cause I know you're saying that you guys got caught off guard by this. This is not exactly what you guys are supposed to be doing. So now you've been throwing this on your lap, and it's interesting and it's great. Where do you go with this?
Yeah, well, so
I want to hear her answer.
We've been working on this business. The first event we did was 7 years ago at this point, but we became an LLC 5 years ago, and so this has been our big focus for quite a while now. And the next phase, as you're asking about, we have some things in the fire. We've been talking to some fantasy balls, because that's a really big industry now, and we are interested in we've been talking about doing some side quest plugins with them. So you come to this big ball, and then on the side we've got LilaQuests shenanigans happening. We have some things in the fire for some charity events and that kind of thing. And the goal, these are all kind of how it happens, but the goal really is to bring a feeling of playfulness into the lives of adults, and community building and human connection and all of those good things, worldwide. We're taking over the world is what I'm saying.
We want to, well said, Hales. We want to kind of normalize playfulness while being an adult, because so many people leave that behind, you know, as they transition into full adulthood. And it's like, oh, you got taxes, you got mortgages, you got responsibilities and kids.
And you're kind of judged if you want to just play,
Yeah.
right? You
And
know?
if you're, you know, enamored by the snow falling through a lamppost light, or like how your tea feels in your hand because you're having a Studio Ghibli morning, that's not really normal. And we want that to be normal. So we're hoping that if enough adults experience that in these little pockets that we create, it'll start to bleed out into the rest of their lives, and they'll kind of be primed for wonder and fun and just joyfully connecting with other people.
See, now that you're talking like this, in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, you can have a musical event where you don't know who's going to start singing. You know, you're
right? Yeah.
all at this party, you're all at this thing, or it could be anything. It could be an event, it could be role playing, it could be whatever. All of a sudden, people just start singing out of nowhere, but you never know who it is that's going to sing and why they're going to sing. It could be like setting off the NPC.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of had little hints of that with the tavern event. You know, oh, we need someone to sing this final this final music that we've just discovered. Oh, who can do that? You know,
oh, that was great. The
person that sang that music in the app.
Exactly. I can see where you guys are coming from with this. You know, even I'm excited. I'm like, oh, there's so much you guys can do.
Yeah.
And one day I think, you know, Haley was talking about these plugins for fantasy balls and all these enrichment initiatives. I think if we were going to think about our ultimate dream, it would be something along the lines of a city quest, where once a year, you know, New York would hire us to basically engage all the amazing talents of all the communities in a city and put together this kind of showcase of arts and music and people meeting each other in groups of 10 going around and all these friends forming along the way. And then maybe it ends on the rooftops and then there's a drone show and the fairy comes out of the ocean and blesses everybody.
Wow.
Right?
I'm there.
Yonkers knows what's up.
What we really want is we want to, you know, this is going to sound something-ish, but what we really want is to revolutionize the way that people connect with one another. We don't want to just, you know, we want to revolutionize the way that it's, oh, you go to a party and there's food. There might be some, you know, a couple
awkward
games here and there. You're just kind of mingling. No, we want to really create meaningful experiences for people.
I gotta say, I keep having all these like ideas as you guys are talking. Can you imagine a convention that's a little different, that's not completely a convention, but and you guys are involved in making the convention a little different and putting aspects of things and making it into something else? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like conventions have been stalled for a while, but can you imagine an event convention?
Oh man,
yeah, we have drafted up a couple possibilities for that in the past. Yeah.
Have you been to Gen Con? I mean, that's a stupid question. I'm sure you have been. But
we haven't been to Gen Con yet, but we've had enough people that have been to Gen Con, and it's one of our places to go.
Yeah. I mean, we're based out of Iowa, so it's like our closest convention practically. You know, there's
it's easier for you guys. For me, it's a trip and a half.
Right. Yeah. It's a 5-hour drive for us, which when you're in the Midwest, a 5-hour drive is practically next door.
Oh man, I gotta say, I can see so many possibilities. I like where you guys are going with this, and I can see revolutionizing things that are already there. You know, because a lot of things need a kick in the pants, dude. I can see you guys doing something with a comic book store. I can see you guys doing something with a gaming store. I can see so much.
Yeah, or an amusement park, or airports, or all of these situations where you have people coming together. And you know, there's just so many ways to plug in and turn it into magic.
Yeah, gamification is really that's the lens we see everything through.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm hoping that people are out there listening and going, hey, Ralph and them have a good idea, and they start hitting you up, going, you know what?
Yeah, I know. When we like go to the DMV, we're not just standing in line at the DMV. We're going, now how can this be gamified?
And I love that thought process because, you know, you're right. As adults, we get the short end of the stick when it comes to fun.
Right?
Yeah. I'm with you there. DMV needs help. It is the most boring.
It might be hopeless, but you know.
Yeah.
Too far gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing we're looking for, and this was so exemplified by the Pocket Bard experience, was truly aligned partnerships.
Yeah.
When you really feel that just super fluid moment, and you're like, yep, this is just effortless and so productive and so magical, and it benefits everyone. It's win-win-win all around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for in the future. Is just
you can
more
always
aligned.
feel that. You know, you yourself said that you could feel that at the event. It's just,
definitely.
There's nothing but good vibes there.
Oh, definitely. That especially at Tavern, it felt like a tavern. It felt
Yeah, it did.
really good. It had that feeling of, oh, this isn't just something we're doing. This is like a party with people that, and it's funny because you don't know these people, but you felt like it was like a family thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's you know, that's where we've been training for 7 years, is figuring out how do we get people who seem like they have nothing in common into feeling like a family in an hour and a half.
Yeah. And it is possible, and that's what's so cool.
It is, yeah. And you know, that also, it goes towards the Brazen Tavern is where the Tavern Night was hosted as well, and they were so amazing, and they had so much fun. And at the end they said, can we just like create a D&D tavern? Can that be what we do now? We're like, yeah, let's go.
I would go to that in a second.
I know,
right?
So would we.
Exactly. You know, somebody listening.
Yeah.
I know there's some taverns out there, or bars, or whatever you want to call them, that actually do D&D in their bar. But can you imagine one specifically made to be a tavern?
Yeah, to be the fantasy tavern that the questers are like, oh man, I need a break. I just slayed a dragon. Can you give me some ale, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine going, dude, I wanted to go somewhere in costume. You know, the D&D tavern is over.
Yeah.
So people, if you're listening, come on, get with us. Start making these ideas.
Anyone out there that has a tavern, come to us. We'll gamify it.
There you go. They'll help you. Oh man.
Yeah,
All right,
so you know, we do
go ahead.
launch events and movie premieres and that kind of thing, but it's all about the journey.
I mean, there are a lot of bars. There are
All together there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, there are a lot of bars that like when it's not Friday or Saturday night, they have like game nights and quiz nights and all kinds of things. You know, just to get people in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You know. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like more now, it probably has something to do with the pandemic, but you know, when we first started hosting these kinds of events, people would really look at us funny. You know, they'd be like, what are these events that you're doing? What are you talking about? And now, post-pandemic, we tell people about these things and they're like, oh my God, I've been looking for new ways of engaging my audience on social media. Yes, I've been looking for new ways of doing a charity event that's not just a dinner and a gala, but something that really makes people care about the subject. Yes, I've been looking for a way to, you know, and you look at, what was it? The new Lord of the Rings show.
Oh, Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. They did a movie premiere that had these immersive elements as well. And it's like, I think people, you know, through the pandemic, we were all diving so deeply into our like fantasy worlds. And now coming out of that, we're like, well, we don't want to keep those fantasy worlds, but we also want some connection with some people. So how can we do those together? And it's definitely a different playing field now, and people are more excited about the kinds of things that we do.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy to hear that, because I'm tired of all these certain type of geeks that are going, it's not real enough. And I'm like, it's fantasy.
You're right. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a whole other conversation.
That's next episode.
Exactly. Well, no, that's every episode, because at some point I have to mention it, because I'm so tired of those people.
Yeah.
Tommy, speaking of fantasy and all the people stuff, tell the people what you do. Give them the spiel. Go for it. I'll put your stuff up over here.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, thanks for having me. It was really inspiring hearing your story, Haley and Chris. It's I'm a D&D enthusiast myself, and I play, and especially during the pandemic, things got really weird and trying to do everything virtually. But somehow we made it work. But I'm more interested in like doing one of those style events. That sounds absolutely phenomenal. So you guys have something great going on. Really, really cool. What I do is very connected in the sense to what you guys were describing in terms of remembering to be a kid. I make toys for a living. And I've been
Like,
doing it since 2006. But with Factory Entertainment was the company that we started in 2011. And our bread and butter categories, so to speak, are items called prop replicas. So essentially, our job is to take something that is made out of, dreams of the silver screen and make a real world version of it and deliver on the promise of a MacGuffin or of, like a flux capacitor, and make it look and feel as though it leapt off the screen in your living room. So that's pretty much what we do. We have a wide range of brands and licenses that we cater to. Chief among them are Star Trek. I already mentioned Back to the Future, Batman, Lord of the Rings, and so on. And we do all sorts of different things. We make prop replicas. We also make smaller versions of prop replicas. And we do a lot of interesting stuff too. For instance, Masters of the Universe, we did a Castle Grayskull cookie jar in beer stein, um, made out of ceramics or ceramic. And yeah, what's really cool though about, and what keeps me invigorated and keeps things interesting, is all of our items are officially licensed. And so a lot of the times that we're creating a product or a collectible, it can become really intense in terms of the research that you have to do because of the elements or the assets that are available to you. So, for instance, the older the film, the more limited the resources are available to create a product.
interesting.
So, yeah, you really do these deep dives. And what's funny is a lot of the time, especially decades ago, you'd have a prop master on a film, and a director or someone will go up to a prop master and say, okay, I need a sword that, lights up. What can you do in 5 minutes? And they have to literally grab parts off the shelf and pretty much build something that is not meant to last more than a couple minutes for a shot. And what we have to do is we have to take those elements and we actually have to grab different materials and make it more permanent. So something looks like it's made out of metal, and at the end of the day, it was actually made out of plastic or some type of a broom handle. We actually have to make it realistic, and we have to make it look like and feel as though it is magic. So I have so many different stories of diving deep and trying to essentially what it becomes in one instance in particular is a treasure hunt, and trying to unearth details that were otherwise not known to the public, and then create just the ideal version of something that's seen on screen.
I got to say, you guys do a great job because I've seen a lot of toy companies and I've seen a lot of this type of stuff that you're showcasing, and I've seen a lot of bad. So,
Yeah.
and you guys, I feel like you guys you upped it up a notch. Because it almost feels like you can actually use these things for the purposes that they're supposed to be used for.
Well, no, I certainly appreciate that, and that's really what we're going for. One of the more recent releases that's been wildly successful is our tricorder that we released from Star Trek, and it's the first officially licensed tricorder that actually has buttons that you can change an actual screen on, and it really does feel as though it came from the show. When you're looking at the actual prop from the show, the decals and everything that are on there, they're all static. Nothing moves. All the lights, a lot of times the lights, it's put in post production and so on and so forth. So again, it's always a challenge to try to do things like that and try to, like you said, make it feel as though it's real and really just not suck. Because it's really easy to cut corners, especially when you're doing mass manufacturing over in China. To have items that are produced that just don't hit the mark, and we've been fortunate enough to have really set kind of a precedent and our reputation on the fact that we create really premium products.
So take me through this, because I'm not sure exactly what your process is, but okay,
Sure.
You're interested in something,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and how does it get decided that you guys go down that project hole?
Well, it always starts as fans first. Every single one of us in the company, we're a very small company. Typically, a conversation among four of us, two of the creatives, myself being one of them, the principal of the company, and then typically another really creative person. And we all kind of decide, okay, do we want to make this? are we a fan of this type of item? So I can actually use a product as an example, kind of like from a concept to shelf type of a story. And I'll try to not be crazy about all the intricacies, but this is kind of a cool story regardless. So this is the Goonies Copper Bones. So if you
Whoa.
remember over Goonies, this is made out of metal.
Wow.
And so there's a patina, a faux patina on it, but it's really, really heavy duty. You have a leather strap.
Nice.
And so you kind of, sorry, I'm kind of like backwards on the camera. So as you can see, it has a lot of detail. It's pretty heavy. What's cool about this one in particular is this started as a project that I was very adamant about leading and about making the product for. The president and CEO of the company, he's like, I never really watched Goonies. It doesn't really appeal to me, but I trust you. So I said, okay, cool. So what we did is we got in contact with Warner Brothers because they're the ones responsible for the license. And what we started to figure out is what assets that they have available. And not very much at all. And I started doing deep dives. Okay, where is the actual prop that was used on screen? And so our person over at Warner Brothers said, well, what you want to do is you want to go to this museum over in Astoria because that's where the actual prop is. And the reason why I was trying to get so much more information about it was because there was rumors as to whether or not, for instance, the back of this piece had some type of an engraving on it.
Right.
And I needed to verify that because when you're making high-end collectibles like we do, you want to make sure that you are covering every single detail that's there. So we get in contact with the museum over in Astoria, and I said to them, I understand that you have a prop, a screen use prop of the copper bone skeleton key from the Goonies. Is there any way that you could take it out of the display case, take some photos for me, or if we can go over there, can I measure it? Can I 3D scan it? Can I do what we need to do in order to make it real? And she told me, Tommy, that's actually a replica. That's not an actual prop.
Oh.
I said, really? And she said, yes. We had a person, we commissioned someone to make one, so I can't tell you that it's authentic. And so now I have to kind of start from scratch again. So, and all because I wanted to figure out, what details that are there and what details aren't. So this is where it gets really cool in my opinion. So I get in touch with Amblin, who was a partner with Warner Brothers and who helped to produce actually produce Goonies. And I said, listen, we're kind of running up short in terms of resources. I have some very rudimentary assets. I have some images, but some screen grabs from the film, but the detail's just not there. And I really needed to figure out whether or not there's an engraving on the back. And so what ends up happening, and this does happen typically, is the person says, give me a couple days. I'll get back to you. A couple days turns into a couple weeks turns into a couple months. I'm politely pestering them over and over and over again. Have you found anything? Have you found anything? Sure enough, I get detailed images of the actual prop, one of the only ones in existence. And I can't tell you who it came from because I've been sworn to secrecy. Let's just say it's a very prominent filmmaker that was kind enough to take it off of the shadow box that they had it in, off of their wall and take detailed photos for me. And it was a lifelong, wish fulfillment for me because I got to, in a sense, work with this person. And lo and behold, no engraving on the back. Plus, I got access to incredible detail on the front that had, up until that point, never been seen. There are components of the way that it's sculpted that were never captured in a release.
Interesting.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, finally got it. Then we mass produce it, and that's where we're at. But it was so fulfilling, that entire experience, to go from a rough understanding of what the prop what everybody thought the replica should have looked like to what the replica actually should, in essence, the idealized version should be. And that's kind of where we landed. So that's just one of a ton of different examples, where we have to just go deep down the rabbit hole to try to figure out, okay, what's the most authentic version of this.
I gotta say, I've always been interested in how that happens because I always sit there going, who the hell decides which way they're going to go? Because the geekdom is huge. All the geeks out there are going to be wanting whatever they want. And
believe me, I on a daily basis, I'm told constantly how wrong I am. I missed a rivet on this section of something, and I've ruined their dreams forever. That's only 1% of the people we deal with, but they're out there. And my thing is always listen, we did our best. This is based on our research. However, if you feel as though we're wrong, or if you feel if we're wrong, do it yourself. Make one yourself. That's all we can suggest, because at the end of the day, we're all fans. And if this is your interpretation of how something should be, then make it yourself. Otherwise, we have an excellent item that you can purchase from us. So,
And I gotta say, with so many cosplayers out there, I'm always amazed at the ones that make the stuff themselves. They make their own Iron Man suit that actually works.
Yeah.
So that it's just amazing to see. Sometimes I feel like the studio should hire these people to do their costumes, because
Yeah.
and surprisingly, there are times where that happens. I've had the great fortune of working with a lot of talented makers who have collaborated with us to create prototypes in instances where like we've been too bogged down in another project to like we're 3D printing or we're painting in house to create a prototype ourselves. So sometimes we'll farm things out. I've had the great fortune of working with a lot of creatives who are makers who end up working within the industry. For instance, a great friend of mine, his name's Steve Radke of Valor Replicas. He was commissioned to do some utility belts for Warner Brothers for a couple of their films.
Nice.
And it just happened that they found him and they loved his work and his expertise. And there are a lot of different stories like that as well. Within our little community in the industry, many of us came from working within studios. So a lot of them are out there, and a lot of them do it for fun. I mean, even if you look at people like Adam Savage, who will go to the shows with the most elaborate cosplay that you can imagine, to the point
he's
of
always
like,
a lot of fun.
oh yeah, no, he's great. He's fantastic. And there's a lot of them out there.
And it's funny that you mentioned Adam, because he's one of those creators. I always love to see how he puts things together, how he makes it happen, so to whatever it is that's happening. It's always interesting to see how the creative mind puts things together, and sometimes how it puts things together simply, because sometimes some of these builds are really simple.
Yeah, surprisingly, we had the great fortune, and it's I mentioned him especially because we just last month we were over at the Cave, and we were doing a video with him and the folks that tested. And you're absolutely right. Just watching how meticulous he is, and how he operates and how he puts things together. I mean, we were standing there in between shooting, and we were talking for like a good 30 minutes about lathes, which is so kind of just like out there and interesting and fun. But yeah, it's incredible to watch people who are that truly creative put things together. And as you said, some of the more complex things or some of the more items that you would perceive or assume are complex are actually quite simple once they're explained.
Definitely, and I feel like sometimes, I've always said this, I feel like in the old days when you didn't have all the stuff that you had to get creative. Like you were saying, Hollywood had these prop masters that would have to make this stuff and have to figure it out. And they were unlimited things. And I feel like when you are limited like that, you have to get creative.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting because I feel as though personally that with certain limitations, sometimes there are better products, because if you have too many options and you're left to your own devices, you can overcomplicate something that's supposed to be just a little bit more elegant or simple in nature for something that you're trying to create out of thin air. But what's also interesting too is the demand for replicas that are that are not as what we would consider to be like ideal.
Mhm.
So like you'll see something on screen like a stunt prop, which is the thing that they'll use for if it's like a sword fight, if they're sword fighting, versus a hero prop, which is meant purely for just the shots up close and getting all the intricate detail. And we've had requests from people to create stunt props, even though the thing looks like just absolute, for lack of a better word, trash in real life, as opposed to the stunt one, because there are differences. I mean, I could go down a huge just deep dive into, for instance, in like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, and the fact that there are multiple iterations of that and multiple versions, seen on screen. So the question becomes, okay, do we do this one that looks like it's all weathered and dirty, or do we do the one that looks like it's pristine and perfect? Funnily enough, if you're way back when, there was a company that did two of them. They did both. Of course, the pristine ones sold quite a bit better, but there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
So what's great about that is it provides opportunity for a couple of different avenues that you can kind of traverse.
Now that you're saying that, I find it amazing how far lightsabers have come. You know, you went from those silly little things that broke like this,
Yeah.
to some that you can actually use to fight. You know, and it's always amazing to say, especially at the conventions where they're there and you're like, oh my god, I can actually fight with this thing.
Yeah, when we were kids, we had the one that had the 4 holes on the top, so we would make that sound effect, and we thought it was the greatest thing ever. Now these kids, they got a light up lightsaber, and the convention I saw someone had an actual one that actually rises like a lightsaber. It's freaking amazing, man.
Yeah, the one that they have over at the Disney parks. Yeah, the one that actually like looks.
Yeah.
I'll tell you just anecdotally, really quick. That's how I actually got into this industry. Back in 2006, I applied as a temp for the company that actually made the first actual light up lightsabers, and I pretty much begged for a job on the spot, and I was lucky enough to get one, and that's how I got into this industry. But I remember as a kid even grabbing like wrapping paper, cardboard, and like, you know, playing with it. Who didn't, right? And then to actually see the real thing up in person, like with the individual LEDs that lit up. I mean, it was amazing, right? Yeah.
Oh my god, I gotta say, every time I see somebody turn on one of those really classy ones, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that the first time at Anime NYC. I never seen that before. Like, just to come on Rise, and I was like, "What? You can do that now? What?"
And that's another example too. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to take a look at how they made that. There are actual like patents that you can take a look at and how it telescopes out.
Yeah.
And the mechanics behind it are brilliant. It's really like it's a true thing of wonder. I don't think. Hopefully one day they can make it like a commercial product that people can buy, because it'd probably be one of the first in line. But right now, I mean, the thing looks pretty fragile at the same time.
And that was the problem, and that's why I say as soon as they got the fighting ones, it was just amazing to me, because, you know, how many did we break? Even with the plastic ones, how many did we break?
Yeah.
Oh man. And here's where all this goes into play, because you guys are here starting Yonkers Comic-Con, or you guys have been doing it for a while. Well, you know what? I'll ask my question as soon as you guys do your spiel. Go ahead, do your spiel. Let the people know what's going on. Go.
Well, Ralph, we want to apologize. This is our first time on this platform, so Katori told me to type our names. I got so excited, so I typed in Yonkers Comic-Con. I'm Evan. This is Katori.
Hi, everybody.
We got started 2 years ago. We received a grant from a local art agency, and we wanted to create a platform where various groups of people can come together in the city of Yonkers. And what we realized is that there were a lot of great comic book stores in Yonkers at a time, but for various reasons they closed down, and it seemed like these groups of people were now scattered. So we came up with the idea of creating a Comic-Con. It started off early as a very simple art exhibition, because as artists ourselves, our goal and mission has always been to celebrate artists in Yonkers. And we wanted to use the platform of comic books. So what we did last year is we created an art exhibition that allowed individuals, whether they were published, unpublished, professional, or emerging artists, to showcase original superheroes. So that was the goal. So we didn't want anybody to draw a replica of something that already existed. From that exhibition, we realized that we can't call ourselves a Comic-Con and just have an art exhibition. So we took it to another level and really brought in people who were very versed in various aspects of Comic-Con, such as Cosmoda, which is a very popular organization in New York, who does New York Fashion Week with cosplay. We brought in a team of planners who realized that there were other aspects of gaming and of geekdom that we were overlooking. And I have to make a disclaimer that I'm new to this, and just learning about this culture and community is exciting me, because there's so many possibilities. So this year We have the second Yonkers Comic-Con, and it really started off very humbly. I
just want to say something. So really, I was going to talk about like the backstory, but in our mind, it's always been about community. It's always been about celebrating, having people celebrate themselves, empowering people. So as artists, we're always doing that in our other programs, which are pretty cool, but we're not here to talk about them. But yeah, so it was about, getting people to feel really good about the hero within them, being able to share maybe things that they may be like introverted and not wanting to do certain things in their life. Well, hey, you can create a superhero and you can do that thing. And so I was going to talk a little bit about how it all really began for us.
So the origin stories, good people, started off as me as a substitute teacher coming back to teach during this hybrid after COVID. And as an ELA teacher, English Language Arts, I was in this 5th grade class, and at the time I didn't have a lesson plan. I
was like, what are you going to do, teach these kids the next day? And he was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't a substitute teacher, so I'm at the bottom of the ring. However, I went into this class, and you can just feel the energy of some kids on the computer, some kids there, everyone's masked up. The energy was much lower than I expected, and it was not a good sight. And then in comes the principal with this stack of papers, and when the principal comes in, it's not a happy time for kids. And she's like, Mr. Bishop, we have to test these kids, and we have to capture testing. And as she's talking, I just looked out into the group, and I just saw the energy level get lower and lower. And I had a decision to make, and I think that this is where the trajectory of my hero's journey kind of went to the next level. And I took that stack of papers and I put it in the garbage. When she walked out, I didn't do it in front of her.
This is what I think about your papers.
I just had to do it. It was like I felt the kids' energy just getting lower and lower. And when I threw those papers in the garbage, the thing that came to my heart as an artist is like, who wants to create a superhero? It's like I was a rebel in the group, and I saw kids perk up. And what I realized is right after COVID, there was so many young people, everybody experienced something new. And the one thing I understood is that these kids were not given a voice. So before we began to talk about strengths and speed and costumes, it was like, what social issue are you going to address? And this was their opportunity to really talk about things that were maybe on an adult level, but keeping it in the realm of safety with comic books. So we wrote on the board, we wrote all these social issues that they wanted to address.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do, but I said, okay, I'm going to take these back home and figure it out. Came to the Brain Trust right here. And we realized that what was important was them not just talking about the issue, but building a superhero around it. So now we came back the next day where their social issue needed 3 superpowers. So you chose one social issue, identified 3 superpowers, but this is the rules. No violence. You can't harm nature, animals, or humans in your quest of addressing this social issue. And these kids really, it was a wonderful formula to see these kids take the idea of a social issue and explore nonviolent ways of addressing these issues. And from that, we're talking 2020, 2021, we realized that there was a formula. So I went from classroom to classroom. I kind of was like, this is the formula I'm gonna teach with. And
it really became like I Am a Hero.
Yeah.
We created this program, this curriculum, which was I Am a Hero.
Yes.
And the kids just loved it. And then we ended up doing it on Zoom, and then we got called to go into communities to do it.
Right.
This is very community based.
Right.
It was like, I am a hero. What difference can I make in this world?
Exactly.
And building up their own self-esteem. So that's how the origin really started for us.
Going back to the principal, that was a Tuesday. By Friday, she called me into her office and she said, "What is this I hear you teaching comic books?" So I just explained that these young people were using their imagination. They were using spelling. They were using sentence structure. They were editing. They were publishing. They were proofreading and all this stuff. So she sat back and said, okay, I'm going to give you the front bulletin board for all of these kids to present their comic books. So we realized that there was a formula in that. Fast forward to now, we want to keep the same concept as we said. So in the Yonkers Comic-Con, there's always going to be a featured space called called the Hall of Heroes, which showcases superheroes that are created by various people. And we're so proud to say that this year, even last year, we don't want to just restrict people to being able to be a visual artist. So we open it up to them submitting artwork through artificial intelligence generated means. So we have pencil work, we have ink work, we have digital art, and we have AI. Did you want to say something about some of the submissions?
Oh, yeah. So some of the submissions were like really, I mean, this year I'm just really touched because we wanted to make sure that this was open to everyone. And so there was somebody that came to me and she was like, oh, I have a learning disability. Can I be a part of it? And it's like, of course, So she created this beautiful superhero to be, because she said, we don't have a voice. She doesn't, she had a hearing disability.
Right.
I don't want to say disability is not right.
A hearing impairment.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to be correct. And so she is now she said this was life-changing for her. Yeah. So, these are things that happen. She said, I have a voice, and she wrote a beautiful story about it. Right. We're giving people the opportunities to write stories and then put them in a binder book so you can learn more about it. Yeah. But that was what it was. It was just being able to make sure that everybody can be a part of this and a part of the community.
And we also came through, one of my victory stories is we went to the Yonkers Office for the Aging, and we engaged a few of their members in
They weren't interested in it at all. Right. Believe me. They wanted to stay with their bingo. Right. They wanted to stay with, their buddies and their friends, dominoes, their free food and lunch and everything. And it was like, to get them in that room was amazing. But some of them, we got them in. They got them curious.
They developed a script. We told them, give us a paragraph of an idea that you want. We plugged it into an AI generated image program, and we came up with superheroes, and they loved it. And they gave them names, and they developed the story even further. So that's one of the things that is happening in Yonkers Comic-Con. But we also have a station. First of all, we want to thank Yonkers Public Library, because Yonkers Public Library has allowed us to kind of take over the whole library except the fourth floor. But we'll have a cosplay fashion show. We'll have some lightsaber guild training. We'll have
Ghostbusters coming. They're bringing their car and everything. Yeah. Oops, I said the wrong thing. It is not a car. It is not a car.
It's Ecto One, man.
Thank you.
We had to learn that one. But we also have Legoland
is coming for the kids. One of the things, we're also partnering with Yonkers Fashion Week because one of the key things that we were told, okay, we're bringing this into the community. Let's bring in the fashion houses that are there. Right. Make them do something really cool.
Give them opportunity.
Yeah. So we have Westchester Fashion Week. We have Yonkers Fashion Week. We have some cool designers. Yeah. We have what we call at the end a community. What do we call it? A community cosplay extravaganza, where people can come out and just be themselves and walk the runway.
And one more thing before we are pleased to announce that last year we started off with giving an award called the Creator's Choice Award, and this year we're honoring Mark Grudenwald from Marvel Comics. His wife Catherine Schuler will be honoring her with the Creator's Choice Award. We always want to celebrate someone who in the comic book industry was kind of pushing the envelope and making things happen and pushing it further than people could imagine. So it's a one-day event, October 5th. We are so excited to really bring the city of Yonkers and all the communities surrounding together. And as we learn more about cosplay and Comic-Cons, and we're still students and learning, we understand that our platform is a great opportunity to bring these communities together in a safe, fun environment. So
Yes.
We're honored to be here to talk about it and welcome any.
And we thank you.
Yeah.
And so it's bringing out, just like Chris and Haley was saying, bringing out that adult fun in you, bringing out the kids in you, making it an experience where people can, just come out, be themselves, have some fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say, we go through a lot of conventions, and I like what you're putting together. I like a lot of the aspects of it. One of the major aspects of it is the whole teacher aspect of things. We go to a lot of conventions, and I've been interviewing a lot of people recently who are teachers, and they're in the geek space, and it kind of bugs me out because when I grew up, the teacher was not the person who was like, "You're reading that stuff. Why are you reading that stuff? I don't understand why you're reading that stuff." That's gonna rot your brain. You guys, I don't know if you guys all know, but for a while there, comic books were not in a good light.
Not at all. Mm-hmm. Not at all. We understand it, and it's interesting because we went to a major festival in Yonkers, and Katori happened to talk to a group of policemen just to kind of inquire about, how to navigate certain things. And one of the captain was like, "We love comic books. We're going to be there, and we're going to make sure." So just to understand that, people who are of our age are now in positions that are influencing the city of Yonkers, that inner geek is still there. And we're just excited about bringing it out and just really making some magic happen in a space of a Comic-Con. So I would love to ask everyone here, like, any suggestions on what to avoid, what we can make better. We're open to learn from, you guys who have paved the way in certain ways.
So we could be doing some wonderful stuff in 7 years.
Exactly.
You already are.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Sounds so good.
Thank you.
I have to say, you guys are like ahead of the curve, because I feel like a lot of the cons, like I was telling Chris and Haley, they've gone the route of, we're doing this, it happens, it's gone. There's no planning other than the fact of, we got the people there, we got this. I'm not saying all the conventions do this, because a lot of the conventions do work really hard and they bring aspects of things into it. But it's become like, this is what a convention is. Boop, 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 boop. And I feel like you guys are going, no, we need to make the convention this, and we need to help the future of geekdom become the geeks that they're supposed to become. And I feel like a lot of the industry has forgotten that. They keep aiming for my generation or the other generations that they feel have the money, instead of going, we need to capture those kids to come into this, because if you don't capture those kids, you're going to lose all that.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because that picture you showed was actually from the Yonkers Public Library. Before we started this, we actually had classes leading up for children to come
all
and
adults,
long. To come all summer long. How to draw, or how to
the difference. So it was like how to draw different styles. So whether it was anime, whether it's manga, whether it was traditional Western superheroes. Then we also had classes on building your cosplay costumes. So we had someone come in who was kind of versed in that.
We also had how to learn how to publish your comic books.
Self-publish.
We had Catherine Schuler. She actually showed you how to make this, and I'm so happy because I made some now. Some really using old comic books that were about to be destroyed into jewelry. So we had like a lot of different things, and the whole idea was like, we want to keep this alive. And so we're kind of learning and growing at the same time, which is really cool and a little scary. But it's like, let's do this.
So you guys have all hit the convention circuit, what do you think the conventions, that's a good question that they're asking. What do you think the conventions can do to, because I know a lot of conventions are suffering because they're not getting the audience, they're not getting the people to come in. What do you think conventions can do to change that?
I mean, there are a lot of conventions where you go there, they're just bad at telling you like what exactly is going on, where things are going on. Like, you just don't know anything. Like, you want to blame like, oh, there were video games over there. Oh, there were. Who told me? There were panels in that room. Oh, there were. No one told me.
All right, so
that's good to know.
Thank you.
I feel like there's something to be said, like what you're saying of like organizing the types of activities better, so that people can understand like, okay, well, I'm really here to shop. I'm here for like buying my games, buying my props, buying, you know, all of that thing. Okay, so that's what I'm focused on. Great. Here's all of the information that I need. Well, what I really want is some, you know, some panels. I want to hear some information from interesting people. Okay, that's that kind of event here. Well, what I want to do is I really want to like do something interactive. You know, I want to draw. I want to play a game. I want to, you know, do something hands-on. Oh, okay, that's here. Oh, I want to test out some games. Okay, that's here. You know, and like really clearly organizing what the events really are, what types they are. So I think a lot of conventions, they'll just say like the name of whatever's happening. They'll like say, you know, play test of this kind of thing. And I'm like, I've never heard of that before. So I don't know what I'm play testing here. Is this, you know, a card game? Is this a board game? You know, et cetera.
Yeah.
So
I mean, sometimes it's a spacing issue because there are ways to craft the event where someone will get to see everything, will get to navigate, but sometimes it's what space they have, what's available, and sometimes that's an issue. But I just feel that, you know, of a lot of events, you just need to find better ways to just tell people what's going on, inform them, you know.
Wow,
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that.
I mean, that's really good to know because the library has been very specific with us, like saying, okay, what's happening at this time. So they're putting it on their, you know, on the library website. But you're giving us some ideas too, like some people who might not look at the library website to know what's actually happening, to figure out a great way to let them know when they come and navigate, whether it's through a map or some kind of electronic
QR code
or something, or signs or something. So we'll really work on that because we still have time.
We have 10 days left.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of time for a convention.
I do want to say it is going to be free for everyone.
Yeah,
so that's
great.
one thing that we wanted to demand initially. When we've attended Comic-Cons, we want to make sure that once again, we're artists. We want to put the artists in the center and really celebrate creative minds. And I'm excited because some people are seasoned artists who are not published, who are sharing their works, and now they have a spotlight. And we're going to make sure that the exhibit is well represented and really celebrating them with the hopes of them being recognized and, you know, opening up opportunities for them beyond that.
Yeah.
That's so encouraging to hear because there are so many conventions now that are just really prohibitive in terms of cost, from majors even to small ones. And what's great about the fact that you guys are doing that is you're not only lifting, you know, the awareness of the local artists that are there and the events that you're doing, but also providing an area for people to be influenced by that, especially the smaller ones. Just anecdotally, I took my 4-year-old for the first time to San Diego Comic-Con. And there was nothing for him to do other than just be overwhelmed by the spectacle. But the price was just crazy expensive no matter where you went. And so to hear that you guys are doing that, plus how inspiring to come from the origin of it with the, you know, teaching kids that's really amazing stuff.
Thank you guys.
Thank
we
you.
Appreciate it. That's
Appreciate
inspiration.
it. Yeah, that's
You're
inspiration.
fueling us.
Some of my favorite events are like when you walk in, they make it so that when you walk in, you have to go to the indie artists. You have to encounter them. You have to see them. And then put all the other stuff, the big guys, the celebrities, whatever, put that in the back. I love those because that's like, you know, hey, support the little guy. This is the first thing you see, you know? Because there's plenty of events where they have all the big industry people, like here's Marvel, DC, all these big guys. And the indie artists are all the way in the back.
Yeah.
By the time you spend all your money, you're like, oh, well.
And the indie artists are really where the unique and the interesting things are, in my opinion. I mean, you've seen all the major stuff on YouTube or on TV. You know, new ideas are just so much more important, and you know, cultivating those new ideas and really just making sure that people are appreciated for them is so important.
And I have a disclaimer. When we first started this last year was our first run, I was adamant about I didn't want DC and Marvel taking over the city of Yonkers. You know, I didn't want it to just be this cash grab of let's put all of our merchandise in front of Yonkers and just leave out dry. So it was like our goal once again was just, you know, they'll take a back seat. They're invited to come. Everyone's welcome to come. There's going to be some great vendors who have merchandise of various kinds, but you know, those indie artists, true to my heart, I know that there's going to be someone who sees someone who opens up the door for something magical to happen. And if we can use our platform to do that,
Yeah.
We served our purpose in the city of Yonkers.
And as soon as you walk in, well, depending on what entrance you come in, but one of the entrances in the atrium, we're having a live artist, you know, painting his artwork. So it was important to like have somebody there, you know, as soon as they come in, it's like, oh, you know, and seeing someone create next to the Hall of Heroes, we thought that would be really cool. So yeah.
Year number 2.
Yeah, it's only year number 2. So
well, we're ready.
We'll see just how much we grow from there. We're excited.
For sure.
It sounds like you're yeah, it sounds like
again, Chris. Would you say, Chris?
We believe in you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you. What type of superhero would you be, Chris?
Ooh, good question.
I've been thinking about it. I think somebody that could like see the matrix of it all a little bit and maybe like have a predictability thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, like a Machiavellian universe or something. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
We designed our superheroes like 3 years ago, remember?
Oh yeah.
Your name was I forget what your name was.
We'd have to
Magic
look at
Moment? Or was that me?
I like that.
She had an empathy ability, so if she felt great joy and some experience, she could like transfer those feelings to anybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's really cool.
Yes, yes.
You had moments of like perfect intuition.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, it was fun. We did this.
There's no limits besides the imagination. And one thing that we learned when we were doing the workshops with the kids, we noticed that the boys were kind of locked into this, you know, MCU frame of mind, but the girls, they were like, they were pulling out ideas and concepts that kind of made us look at each other like, I would have never thought about that. So it's empowering, and for them to be able to create something, and we always want to make sure that it's proper representation. So we want them to be the heroes. So if you have pigtails, your superhero has to have pigtails. You know, you can't just create this whole nother image. So it really becomes this, you know, empowering experience. So we're grateful to continue this journey with.
And you all have to come. It's for It's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everyone. It's
anywhere. We live anywhere across the Atlantic Ocean, whatever. Come.
I gotta say, you made the big one, which is like a free, and I think you need to keep saying that.
Yeah, free.
Because you know, people, Tommy's right. Like it's become this thing where trying to take your family to a convention. Some of these conventions, you know, it is like taking out a mortgage just to go to the convention, just so you can take your family, and that's just getting into the convention. It's not even buying the stuff at the convention.
Right.
Oh, this is us.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it as close to free as possible. Save the date.
Save the date.
Yeah, Yonkers Comic Con. And we have 2 young artists who did their superheroes, so we featured these artists. I don't know if you can see it so well. There we go. Yeah, so young artists who participated last year. So we just, once again, we want to give them shine and celebrate creativity and imagination. So,
and it's our honor to be here with all veterans and
brilliant minds, gaming, toy development. I mean, I'm excited.
Tommy, I do have one question. Now that we're talking cons, and I know you go to a couple of cons, what do you think conventions can do for vendors? Because I feel like sometimes vendors are kind of forgotten. You know, they're kind of thrown in there. And if you find the vendor, you know, hey, you know, I feel like sometimes you're stuck in a place where you don't see much traffic, or you're not everybody, but certain people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's such a great question. There's so many different things. And first and foremost, I do have to say that the amount of support that we receive from the actual conventions that we have exhibited at in the past has been really great. Is there room for improvement? Always. The one thing that's top of mind for me more than anything else is just better line management. And that's not necessarily the people that are on the sides of you also exhibiting, but it's really up to the convention center themselves or the organizers themselves to help corral crowds if there's long lines. Earlier on, when we were little guys, I think the first year that we exhibited at Factory Entertainment was, I want to say 2010, 2011. We only had like 1 or 2 exclusives because we were still trying to come up, and we were being overshadowed by the larger booths. unfortunately, people were lining up in front of our booth, but nobody was coming in to buy. So, and I had to kind of go out in the line, like, hey, we got this stuff, we got this stuff. They're like, I'm not there for you, I'm there for them. I'm like, please come and say. But yeah, line management is such a big one. And especially because, you think that you have all this room, especially when you're dealing with aisles that are, 10, 15 feet wide, they really start to pack up. The other one is just, and this isn't for vendors, I think this is just advice overall, is education hygiene. Because there's a certain smell in convention centers, but that's a whole other thing.
I always say the same thing.
Season, he knows something.
I always say the same thing. If you can afford to pay to get into the convention, you can afford to buy certain things. Come on.
I mean, nobody wants to say it, but deodorant, maybe something. I don't know, but it's I'll tell you. It's the reoccurring thing. I've been exhibiting at shows now since forever, and it's always,
always.
But,
really? Okay,
oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I remember certain conventions. There were like 3-4 days that when you leave at the end of the day, someone would just get out of the convention and just line up for the next day. No, dude, go home, take a
shower, do something. Yeah. I always jokes around. I'm like, degree or Procter and Gamble, great sponsorship opportunity.
Is not the equivalent of taking a bath. No,
I agree with you, Tommy. It is a great thing for them to do. I'm surprised they've never decided this. Hey, degree is sponsoring.
Little sticks of deodorant, just in a bag. That's
travel size.
You know what? We'll put it in a bag or something.
You had the convention for that many hours. To go. Let's go.
You're right.
Chris and Haley, I have to ask: have you guys done conventions as LilaQuests?
As vendors? We have not been a vendor at conventions. I've been going to conventions my literal entire life. Chris is newer to the convention circuit, but yeah, we kind of like the mobility of being able to go to all the different booths and meet people and kind of network that way. Yeah. So we haven't, but we
ask us that all the time.
Not learning, but we're more interested in opportunities to gamify the conventions.
They ask us that all the time. Come on, guys, are you guys gonna have a table? I'm like, if we have a table, that means we're short one person already. Because somebody has to be at the table. We're supposed to be covering the convention. If somebody's stuck at the table, we're not covering the convention.
We have some stuff in the works that we might end up doing a table at some point because we have some projects.
Because in my head I can see you guys doing, like, if you don't have to do it all the time, but every once in a while hit a convention and make the booth an experience. You guys can make it into a detective mystery. You can make it into a D&D campaign. You can make it into and that means that every time you're at a convention, it's an event, and people go, hey, we should go check out the LilaQuest booth because they're going to be doing something.
Yeah, and honestly, again, we have some ideas of things that we would want a booth for down the line, and once that's happening, we would definitely do some kind of gamification, hopefully like in partnership with the convention, that we could kind of have like a treasure hunt leading you there, kind of. Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. Nice.
I know, there's so many things. We just hit our more now, but probably a year ago we hit our 1,000 event mark.
Nice.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
That's a big feat. That's not easy.
Really?
No.
Yeah. Many years of,
Wow, that's amazing. And we're only at 2, so I mean, we're like inspired.
This is the full range of events.
It's not 1,000 Comic-Cons.
Right, yeah. And so, we're really excited about the kind of that threshold. It's like a whole new world now of all of the things we've done in the past and what this new chapter kind of means for LilaQuests, and all of these ideas are exactly.
We love all your ideas.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I would say, just to piggyback off of you in terms of future objectives, is really not to have this 1-year thing come around like clockwork, but have ongoing programming and opportunities for people to learn more about different aspects of what is in a Comic-Con through educational programs, through art institutions, to really engage them. Because when we had this young man Danny come in and actually show how he made his costume
so cool
with EVA foam, I'm like, hold up, that looks like metal. How did you? I mean, he blew our minds, and we realized that there's so much we can do all year round to lead up to this big event. So it's not just just looking at the end, account one day on a calendar, but
so that's part of our plan
year round
too.
Sure, the vision.
Yeah.
There's some of the companies that we've been looking into for the fantasy ball market. There's one called Udantria Events. You can check them out on Instagram. And they originally had just the one big event, kind of like you guys are doing, a fantasy ball once a year. And then they realized there were so many smaller plugins that could kind of build up to that. Like Fantasy Picnic, where you're like, oh, maybe I craft my character for the ball later, but it's still a mini event and you're still community building.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of best practices that you guys can absolutely steal that are going on.
Especially with your partnership with the library, because we're friends with the guys at MCon. I'm not sure if you guys know MCon. They're the East Meadow Public Library. They have their own anime convention, and I think they're about to do their October convention, because they do a nice little Halloween tie-in type of thing. But over through the year, what they do is they have little bits and pieces. It's like MCon presents, at the library. You can come check out this or check out that. So if you have the partnership with the library, you might as well utilize it. And that means that it keeps your name of your event in the minds of people.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you're gathering new people that will go to the convention.
Ralph, you got all these ideas for us, man. We might have to bring you on. And but it's true, because the library really understands that partnership brings readership, brings people who want to learn more about, just the whole industry overall. But the reading is really, the literacy is important for them, and they've really been working with us from day one. So thank you, Yonkers Public Library. We appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys.
All right, that's always important. Yeah. I see we're at the 15 mark. So Yonkers, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, all the good stuff. Go for it.
Oh, very good. First of all, I'm Evan Katori, not Yonkers Comic Con, but our Instagram is up there. Also, Yonkers Comic Con at Gmail, if you want to email us, yonkerscomiccon.com. The Eventbrite, we're so great to say that it's sold out, but it's still come. It's free. So even though it says sold out on Eventbrite,
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, it'll come through. Now it's just for a number of counts, so we can kind of expect what to expect. But we're grateful. We want to thank all of our partners. We'll be posting that up on our social media as well. We're going to do a countdown.
It's October 5th.
October 5th, free.
Saturday, 11 to 5.
Yes.
And, it's broken up in the beginning with a talk show, and then we have the fashion show, and then we have all the other things happening at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. And just to let people know the lay of the land, it's right next to the Metro North.
Easy breezy.
Minutes from the city, minutes from Upper Westchester. So come through, have a great time with your family, friends, and have fun.
Thank you.
All important. Folks, go check it out. It's free. Make your trek over there. It's always a good time when you have to quest to go find something. Tommy, why don't you tell the people where they can find you and all that other good stuff? Go for it.
Yeah, sure. So our website is factoryint.com, and you can find us everywhere on social media at factoryint. Just something that's pretty cool that we're going to be doing on October 1st. We have a product release of our Strange New Worlds phaser, which pretty much looks like this guy right here.
Zoom in.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. And so it lights up, it has all the sounds, and we have an actual, and I can't reveal it here as much as I'd love to. We have a very special announcement on that date. It'll be at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure to be on our website, because fans of Star Trek will not want to miss our special announcement. It's going to be spectacular. I'm personally excited about it, like thrilled about it. So please check out our website on October 1st for a special announcement related to the phaser.
And folks, I got to tell you, finding him has been easy. I found him on Instagram. I found him on Facebook. I got to say, I start plugging your name in and it pops up, and I'm like, okay, that's always a great thing because sometimes I have to really research in order to find people.
Well, thank you for sharing that information. I will be showing this video to my boss because I'm also responsible for SEO and everything social. So that raise.
And folks, I gotta say, I made it even easier for you because I know somebody's gonna be like, it's too hard, Ralph. I'm not gonna go looking for it. They talked about it. I put it right there in the comment section. So all you gotta do is press it and go. Everybody's thing is right in the comment section. So don't give me that too lazy, Ralph. All right, Chris and Haley, your turn.
LilaQuests.com, but most of our engagement is on Instagram. So at LilaQuests.
We also have a TikTok that is somewhat active. Yeah, LilaQuests.
Yeah. And the website has a submission form, which kind of goes through the steps of, partnering and working together and how that all works with discovery sessions and concepts and stuff. But DMs on Instagram is how some of our most fun projects start.
Yeah.
I got to say, is there any limitation to the things you guys can do?
It's only budget, man.
Yeah.
Budget and vision.
That's really
That's good to know.
Yeah. We've done
because
as small as individuals, a partner proposing, anniversaries, that kind of thing, all the way up to corporate events, movie premieres, university graduation dances, everything really.
It's just how big do you want the idea to spread? And
that's good because sometimes people have ideas and they're like, you know what? I think I need some help, and boom, there you go. You got it right there.
Yeah, because I have some
the logistics behind a vision. Exactly.
And product launches have been something that we've been finding is a really big market for what we do. Is hey, we have something going on. Will you help us make it cool? Yeah, that's what we do.
All right,
that's good.
So let me ask you this then: are you guys doing everything in person, or is there an online aspect to things? Because I know sometimes somebody's launching something and they're like, we need help. Are you guys doing it online as well?
Yes.
Yeah, we've done both.
One of the potential partnerships we're looking at right now is virtual charity events and kind of designing a gamification of that and then facilitating remotely. Haley also touched on the engagement quest that happened in California coastal city. We did that completely remote. Everything was shipped out there. We designed it and then just facilitated from a distance.
But the more elaborate it is, the more likely it is that we want to be there in person, facilitating.
Love it. Keep up the good work, all of you guys.
What a cool group! Thanks for bringing us together.
I gotta say, it happened that I got you guys together, and it's so funny how well it flows. Because it's like event, vendor, con, and then it all just came together.
It's a master stroke, Ralph. Master stroke.
And folks, of course, it's always a geek out here. Go enjoy all these people. Go check them out. You will not be remiss. You will not be remiss at all. Folks, if you're looking for stuff to do, there's always something to do. And especially here in New York, there's always something to do.
Something to do or something to eat.
New York? Yeah, definitely. Especially at whatever hour you want, which is one of my favorite things about New York. I feel like I want to have a burger. It's 2 a.m, Ralph. We can do it.
We can do it. New York will do it for sure.
I don't think this matters where you live. Anywhere in America, there's always things going on every weekend.
I agree, but sometimes it takes a quest and a half to get there.
Sometimes, but I mean, just keep your eyes open. Like I remember I had a friend he was like, there's nothing to do in Connecticut. It's like, they have conventions in Connecticut. I said, no, they don't. And 5 minutes later, there's 5 here conventions that you can go to. They're all too far. I give up.
I completely agree with you, Tony. I find as a writer,
you have to put a little work sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I find as a writer, I'm so used to doing looking for things, for doing research. Right. That, I forget people don't do research.
I have a question. Can I ask Tommy a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
So this Goonies thing that you made,
Ooh.
yeah, you said that like the one you created has some details that like hadn't been seen before. So does that mean that you now need to replace the replica that's in the Astoria Museum with yours?
Love that.
So we've suggested as much.
Yeah, great question.
It's already on display, and to be quite honest, the guy who made the one that's on display and has been on display, I know of him, and he is incredibly talented. And what he did and the amount of effort and work that he put into it with the resources that he had available, that obviously we as licensees, we have much more asset.
Mhm.
What I'm getting at is he did incredible work, and it deserves a place in that museum because it is so cool and it's so great. And even the creative freedom that he took in putting the engraving on the back, it's inspiring, and that is something I truly appreciate. That said, ours is on display. It's cool.
See, now that you said all this, I'm going to say the same thing I always say when I is, where's my Dick Tracy watch? You figure by now you'd have a Dick Tracy watch. I know there's people out there going, Dick Tracy, what the heck is that? But no, I want my watch. Apple can do it now.
Right.
I'm not sure what they're waiting for.
How about that?
Dick Tracy.
Yeah,
Good.
always. I always got to say that. All right, folks, just to showcase a couple things. Matta couldn't be here today, but her Kickstarter is live. And of course, if you guys love D&D and you love what happens when you roll a 1, why don't you buy a book about a group of people who just keep rolling 1? And they can't call them heroes. These adventurers get the job done eventually. But Matta does everything herself. She's the artist, she's the writer, she does the lettering, she does everything. My favorite line from Matta is she does all this work she can barely afford to pay herself. Go check it out, folks. I'll make it even easier for you guys, as I did with everybody else. I'll stick this into the comment section, and you don't have to say, but Ralph, I don't want to go look for it.
It's a good description. You get what it is.
Oh my God,
it's very compelling.
It is so much fun, folks. I had to get the special one here. There's only one left of this edition. You see the ones that you're seeing there is the splatter one. She had 6 of them. 5 of them are gone already, and I got one of those.
There you go.
So if you want what you're looking at right now, because that's the cover for each issue, there's only one of those left. But there's plenty of the other comic book left. Go help her out. She's still trying to get funded. She is at 1,670. She needs to get to 3,750. She has 56 backers. 9 days to go. Come on, folks. You love D&D. You'll love this book.
Support.
Exactly. It's important.
Yeah.
I think that is everything I have up here. Of course, tomorrow we will have our friends from RP Jester, LilaQuests Comics, and Frank DiStefano on to talk about their stuff on the Written Writ. You guys have anything, last things to say here before we go?
It's been an honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You guys are always welcome on the show. You guys can really geek out. It's been a really good geek out today. I always love when it's a good geek out.
This is a fun show and great guests. Like kind of guests that we usually don't get. So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is actually a different type of show for us, especially because the only Kickstarter I said was the one I just said myself. All right, folks. On this show, what happens? It's this. All right, folks.